I was in Paris about 6 years ago. I remember this so vividly.
Wow, yeah.
I'd been studying French for, I don't know, maybe 2 years. I felt pretty good. I had the apps, I had the textbooks, I could conjugate verbs that I'm like,
Yep.
pretty sure actual French people don't even use anymore.
Right, you had the academic side down. You were classroom ready.
I was textbook lethal. So I walk into this little bakery. It's perfect. The smell of butter is just like hitting me. I'm feeling confident.
Okay, setting the scene. I'm with you.
I walk up to the counter. I look the woman in the eye, and I open my mouth to order a simple croissant, and just nothing. Nothing happens.
The freeze. The classic language learner freeze.
Complete system failure. And it wasn't even that I forgot the word. I knew the word. It was somewhere in there.
Yeah.
But it's like my brain it started buffering. The spinning reel of death.
Ugh, I know that feeling. It's a physical sensation almost.
It is. And in that, 3 seconds of absolute silence, the woman just looked at me, sighed this very Parisian sigh, and said, "Do you want a chocolate one or a plain one?" In perfect English.
Ouch. That stings.
Yeah.
That really, really stings.
It destroyed me. But that moment, that precise feeling of your brain just locking up right when it matters most, that is the universal struggle for language learners.
It really is. It doesn't matter if you're learning Spanish, Japanese, or, a coding language like Python.
Exactly. The gap between what you know on paper and what you can actually do in the moment is massive.
And that gap is exactly where we are going to be living today. Because this deep dive, it isn't about vocabulary lists. We aren't talking about grammar hacks.
No.
We are talking about the operating system of your brain.
We are unpacking a really fascinating set of materials today, headlined by a guide called Mindset Shift, Training Your Brain to Think in English. And the promise here is, well, it's huge. It's basically the holy grail of language learning.
It really is. The whole premise of what we're digging into is that fluency isn't an intellectual problem. If you're listening to this right now, you're probably smart enough. You can memorize words. You can understand rules.
Right, that's not the issue.
The problem is mechanical. You are running the wrong software in your head.
You're trying to run, a high-end graphics card on a processor that was built for spreadsheets.
That's a perfect analogy, exactly. Most learners are stuck in what the source calls translator mode. And the goal of today is to help you uninstall that mode and install direct thought mode.
Thinking in English. It sounds so good, but it also sounds, I don't know, a little impossible. How do you just turn off your native language?
Well, yeah.
It's been there since you were a baby. It's deep code. It's like the BIOS of your brain.
It is deep code for sure. But the research we're looking at today argues that it's not about deleting your native language. It's about building a bypass road.
A bypass.
It's about habit formation, neuroplasticity, and essentially tricking your brain into being more efficient.
So if you've ever felt that freeze like I did in that bakery, or if you feel like you're constantly translating in your head before you speak, this is the deep dive for you.
100%.
We have a literal workout plan for your brain. It's broken down into 3 levels, from total beginner to, well, pretty advanced.
And we're going to get granular. This isn't just try harder or immerse yourself. This is do this specific thing with your eyes and your internal monologue for 5 minutes at 8 a.m. It's very prescriptive.
I love actionable. But before we get to the workout, we have to diagnose the injury.
Yes.
The source material starts with this concept of the translation trap.
Hmm.
We need to really break this down. What was happening, biologically and cognitively when I froze in that bakery?
Okay, so it's actually a fascinating and a really inefficient sequence of events. When you look at it in slow motion, you realize why it's so exhausting to speak another language when you're stuck in this trap.
Right.
The guide breaks it down into a 5-step process that happens every single time a non-fluent speaker tries to say even a simple sentence.
Okay, walk me through it. Let's use my bakery example. I see the croissant. That's step 1, right?
Yeah.
Per section.
Yeah. Right. Step 1. Visual input. You see the object. Your eyes send a signal to your visual cortex. Boom. Object identified. That part's automatic.
Okay, that part is instant. There's no lag there for me or for a native speaker.
None at all. But here is where the fork in the road happens. For you, step 2 is your brain automatically labels that object in your native language.
Right.
Since you've been speaking English your whole life, there is a superhighway of neurons connecting that visual image of a flaky pastry to the word croissant in your head. It's automatic. You don't ask for it. It just appears.
It's the default setting. My brain just screams pastry or whatever my native word is, and it happens before I can even stop it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now you are in the trap because now you have to initiate step 3, the search.
The search.
Your brain has to consciously realize, wait, I can't use the native word, I need the target word. So it effectively pauses your current thought process, opens up a mental filing cabinet, and starts rummaging through folders looking for the French or Spanish or whatever equivalent.
I'm picturing a really dusty, disorganized filing cabinet.
It usually is. And
Yeah.
this is the search engine phase. And this is where the anxiety starts to creep in, right? Because you can feel the time ticking. You can feel the silence stretching.
You can absolutely feel it. And your brain is just, it's burning glucose like crazy here, isn't it? It's a high-effort task.
Very high effort. So you're searching, and eventually, maybe, you find the word, aha, but you aren't done.
Oh, there's more.
There's more. Step 4, quality control.
Ah, the grammar police.
The internal editor, the little grammar cop that sits on your shoulder. You have the word, but now your brain goes, wait, is it masculine or feminine? Is it le or la? Do I need a preposition here? Am I saying this politely enough?
Oh, this is so real. You're trying to parse all these syntax rules that you learned in a textbook while trying to hold the actual word in your working memory.
It's a massive cognitive load. Your brain's RAM is completely maxed out. You're juggling 3 or 4 different mental tasks at once.
And then, finally,
And finally, step 5. You actually engage your motor cortex, move your mouth, and speak the word.
and by then, 3 seconds have passed.
And in a conversation, 3 seconds is the death knell.
Okay, see, that's the part I want to push on. Because 3 seconds, I mean, you count it out, 1, 2, 3. It doesn't sound like a long time. In the grand scheme of the universe, it's nothing.
Right.
Why does the source material make such a huge deal out of this latency? Why is that pause so deadly?
In a vacuum, sure. 3 seconds is nothing. If you're writing an email, who cares? 3 seconds is fine. You can delete, you can rewrite, you can pause.
But conversation isn't a vacuum.
It's not. The guide describes it as a dance. It's a high-speed ping-pong match. There's a rhythm, a flow.
And if you hold the ball for 3 seconds, the game just stops. The other person puts their paddle down.
The game stops and the connection breaks. Think about that bakery again. When you paused, what did the woman behind the counter do?
She switched to English. She immediately recognized that I was struggling. Her whole face changed.
Right. The entire social dynamic shifted in an instant. You went from being a peer or a customer to being a struggling student.
Wow.
The flow was killed. And the source makes a really interesting point here about why we feel so anxious and almost ashamed during that pause.
It's not just that we're slow.
Yeah.
It feels,
Huh.
shameful. Is that too strong a word?
No, I think it's accurate because it feels like a disconnect between your intelligence and your performance.
Yes.
You are a smart person. You have complex thoughts. You deal with complex problems at work every day. But because of this translation, filter steps 2, 3, and 4, you are forced to communicate with the simplicity of a toddler.
You want bread?
Exactly. And that gap, knowing you have all this sophistication inside, but only being able to let out the most basic version of it, is incredibly frustrating.
It is.
It causes the brain to panic, which actually makes the retrieval process even slower. So it's a vicious cycle.
So the more you stress about the pause, the longer the pause actually gets.
Precisely.
Yeah.
So the holy grail, the mindset shift that we're talking about today, is all about cutting out the middleman.
We want to just delete steps 2, 3, and 4 from that process.
We want a straight line. See object, think target word. That's it.
See the croissant? Think croissant in French. No filing cabinet. No grammar police.
No native language interference at all. If you can do that, you aren't just faster. You are, by the definition in this guide, fluent.
That's a powerful definition.
It's not about knowing every word in the dictionary. It's about processing the world directly in the language.
Okay, I'm completely sold on the what. I want the straight line. Everyone listening wants the straight line. But I'm still stuck on the how.
Of course.
Because like I said, my native language is a bully. It just pushes its way to the front of the line every single time. How do we stop it?
Well, that guide is very, very clear on this. You cannot will it to happen. You can't just decide, okay, brain, I'm thinking in English now, and expect it to work for more than 10 seconds.
Right, you'll just default back as soon as you get distracted or tired or see something unexpected.
Exactly. It's not about willpower. It's about training. You have to physically rewire the neural pathway. Think of your brain like a dense forest.
It's okay, I'm in the woods.
Your native language is a paved 6-lane superhighway cut right through the middle of the trees. It's easy, it's fast, you can drive it with your eyes closed. It's been paved by decades of constant use.
And the English pathway. Or whatever your target language is.
It's a faint deer trail, It's covered in thorns and bushes, and you can barely see it. You have to hack your way through it with a machete every single time.
And I'm trying to drive a semi-truck down it.
Basically. And your brain is an energy-conserving machine. It's fundamentally lazy. It sees the highway and it sees the deer trail. It is always going to choose the highway because it's cheaper energetically. It takes less calories to think in your native language.
So every time I see a table, my brain wants to take the highway to Mesa or Tish or whatever. It doesn't want to hack through the bushes to find table.
It doesn't. So the only way to change that is to walk the deer trail over and over and over again. You have to trample the grass down yourself until that becomes the path of least resistance.
We have to pave the deer trail.
You have to pave it yourself, one stone at a time. And you can't pave the whole highway in one day. You start with the first 10 feet. Which brings us to level 1 of the workout.
Level 1. The source calls this rewiring reflexes, or, more playfully, the naming game.
This is where we start. And I have to warn you, and everyone listening, this is going to sound deceptively simple. You're going to hear this and think, that's it. That's too easy. I need something more advanced.
But I have a feeling you're going to tell me it's much harder than it looks.
It is so much harder than it looks because of one very specific, very strict constraint.
Okay, lay it out for us. What is the naming game?
The concept is basic. You deal strictly with nouns. We aren't building sentences yet. We aren't doing grammar. We are just labeling the physical world around you.
Just pointing and grunting, basically.
In your head, yes.
Yeah.
You look at an object and you say the English word for it, but, and here's the rule that changes everything, it must be instantaneous.
Define instantaneous.
Yeah.
What are we talking? Milliseconds.
I mean simultaneous with your eyes landing on the object. If you look at a cup and your brain goes, Tazza,
Yeah.
cup, you failed the rep.
Harsh. That's a failure.
It has to be harsh. Because if you heard Taza first, you used the translation bridge. You took the highway. We need you to teleport. We need the visual input to trigger the English word directly, with no middleman.
So if I hear my native language first, even for a split second, that rep doesn't count. I have to start over with a new object.
Correct. Speed is the only metric that matters at level 1. We are trying to reflex train your visual cortex to trigger an English tag instead of a native one. We're building a new habit from the ground up.
So how does a listener actually do this? Do I just sit in my room and stare at my stuff for 5 minutes?
You can. The source suggests doing this in short bursts. You can't do it all day. Your brain will absolutely melt. But they recommend a specific routine called the wake-up routine.
Oh, I saw this in the notes. I actually tried this morning.
Did? Okay, great. How did it go?
Well, the logic is that you do it right when you wake up before your brain is fully booted up, right?
Exactly. The logic is that in those first few minutes after waking up, your cognitive filters are a bit lower. You're in a liminal state. Your native language hasn't completely seized control of the cockpit yet.
So I wake up, I open my eyes, and instead of grabbing my phone to doom scroll, which is my usual move,
A noble sacrifice.
I just looked at the ceiling and I forced my brain. Ceiling? Then I looked down. Blanket, pillow, hand, window, lamp.
How did it feel?
It was surprisingly hard. My brain kept wanting to drift into actual thoughts like, I need coffee, or it's so cold, or what time is it?
That's the narrator trying to come back online in your native language. You have to suppress that narrator. You have to stay in label mode.
It felt like a meditation. I had to be super present in the moment. I couldn't think about my to-do list for the day because I was too busy hunting for nouns.
That's a great observation. It is a form of mindfulness. You are anchoring yourself in the physical reality of the room using English tags. You are associating the English word with the actual photons hitting your eyeballs, not with the memory of the word in your native language.
The source also mentions doing this on a commute, which I imagine is chaos mode compared to the calm of a bedroom.
It's hard mode, absolutely. If you're walking down a busy street or driving a car, the visual input is flying at you at, 60 miles per hour.
Car,
Thus.
bus, tree, dog, sign, person, puddle. It's like a machine gun of nouns.
Exactly. And if you can keep up with that pace labeling things as they fly by without translating, you are building that direct connection speed. You're thickening the pavement on that new neural pathway you're building.
Well, what happens when I see something? Let's say I'm walking down the street and I see, a fire hydrant. And I know the word in my language, but I have absolutely no idea what it is in English. What do I do?
This is the unknown object trap, and it's a critical point. Most people stop, they pull out their phone, they open their dictionary app, they look it up.
Which completely breaks the flow of the exercise.
It destroys the flow. The source says, do not stop, do not look it up. If you don't know the word, you skip it, or even better, you use a placeholder like thing, or just read thing.
Really, just call it thing. That feels like cheating.
It's not cheating, because the goal of this specific exercise isn't vocabulary acquisition. That's for study time later. The goal right now is flow. The goal is keeping the operating system in English mode.
Okay, that makes sense.
If you stop to open a dictionary, you are immediately switching back to translator mode. You've lost the game. The point is to stay in the English water, even if you're just doggy paddling and calling everything a thing.
Keep the momentum.
Yeah.
You can look up fire hydrant later when you're home.
Yeah.
In the moment, just keep the labels firing.
Exactly. It's all about rhythm and maintaining that state of mind.
Okay, so that's level 1. Nouns, reflexes, speed. It sounds manageable. 5 minutes a day. But, and I think everyone listening is thinking this, I can't walk into a business meeting and just start shouting laptop, projector, coffee.
You could, but you might not get promoted. It depends on your office culture, I suppose.
Right. Nouns are great, but they aren't communication. Eventually, we have to string them together into, sentences.
You have to graduate. And that brings us to level 2. This is where we move from labeling the world to structuring it.
Narrating your life.
Yeah.
That's the title of this section in the guide.
Narrating your life. This is where you become the main character in your own movie.
And also the narrator.
And the narrator. So in level 1, we were just dealing with static objects. Now we are dealing with action. We're adding verbs. The source suggests moving from single words to simple sentences. Subject, verb, object.
SVO. The holy trinity of English grammar.
And usually in the present continuous tense, because you are describing what is happening right this second. The I am doing form.
Okay, let's role play this. Let's say I'm making breakfast. This is a classic narrating your life scenario from the guide. What does my inner monologue sound like at level 2?
It sounds like a very dry, very literal play-by-play commentary from a sports announcer with no personality. I am pouring the coffee. It is hot. I am opening the fridge. I am taking out the milk.
I am looking for a spoon. Where's the spoon? Ah, here it is. I'm stirring my coffee.
Exactly. Now, does that sound profound? No. Is it Shakespeare? Absolutely not. It sounds a bit like a robot or like you're learning to speak for the first time.
It sounds totally robotic. I am holding the cup. I am lifting the cup.
But think about what your brain is doing mechanically. This is the crucial part that people miss.
It's forcing syntax. It's forcing the structure.
Yes. It is forcing your brain to accept English word order as the default way to structure reality. You aren't taking a complex thought in your native language like, I wonder if this milk has gone bad because I bought it last Tuesday and I should probably smell it, and trying to convert it.
No.
You are generating the thought in simple English from scratch based purely on your physical actions.
It's grounding the language in physical reality. This is something I've heard called embodied cognition, right? The idea that we learn with our bodies, not just our minds.
Yes, that's a great connection. Embodied cognition is the idea that our thinking is deeply rooted in our physical interactions with the world. When you say, I am opening the door, while your hand is physically turning the knob, you are creating a multisensory memory. It's not just an abstract concept.
You're binding the word opening to the muscle movement of turning your wrist, the sound of the latch clicking, the feeling of the cool metal.
Exactly. That connection is infinitely stronger and more durable than reading the word open on a flashcard. It binds the language to the physical sensation itself.
But the source material does address a funny little hurdle here.
Yeah.
Which I've definitely run into.
The awkwardness factor, the social weirdness.
The awkwardness fact. If you walk around the grocery store muttering, I am picking up the bananas, they are yellow, I'm putting them in the cart, people are going to give you a very wide berth.
Yeah, you might get security called on you. Sir, please stop narrating the produce section. You're scaring the children.
So how do we handle the social weirdness of this? Because we have to practice in public sometimes.
The solution is simple but profound. You do it with your inner monologue. You don't have to speak it out loud. The real victory is changing the voice inside your head.
That's a huge concept, though. The inner voice. Most of us have a constant stream of chatter going on all day long.
All day.
Oh, I need to remember to do laundry. I'm hungry. That guy just cut me off in traffic.
And that chatter is almost exclusively in your native language. That is your brain's default operating mode. If you can hijack that stream even for 10 minutes a day while you're shopping and force it into English, you are winning. You are doing the reps.
But it's hard. I've tried this. I'll be narrating, I am walking to the bus, and then suddenly I see a funny dog, and my brain instantly switches back to my native language to make a joke about it to myself.
That's the resistance. It's like lifting a heavy weight at the gym. It's easier to just think in your native language, but pushing through that resistance, catching yourself when you switch back, and then forcing yourself back into English, that is where the growth happens.
It's the mental toggle, the switching.
Exactly. Every time you catch yourself slipping and you pull yourself back to English, that's 1 rep. That's a bicep curl for your fluency muscles.
And what I like about level 2 is that it forces you to use the verbs, the action words. In level 1, we just had car. In level 2, we have the cart is turning, the car is stopping. You start to see the mechanics of the language in motion.
You start to feel the rhythm of the grammar without studying grammar book. You learn that the car turning feels wrong. Is turning. You learn it by feel, by repetition, not by memorizing a rule.
Which is exactly how kids learn their first language.
It is. Kids don't study grammar books. They narrate their lives constantly. I run, I jump, daddy, watch. You are replicating that natural acquisition process.
So we've mastered the physical world. We can label the table and we can say, I am cleaning the table. But, well, life isn't just about cleaning tables.
Thankfully not, no.
Life is about arguments. It's about stress. It's about planning for the future and worrying about the past. It's about complex emotions. And this is where most learners hit a massive wall. They can order the coffee, but they can't explain why they're sad or frustrated or excited about a new project.
Or why they disagree with a political point, or why they love a certain movie. The abstract stuff is the hard stuff.
Which leads us to the heavyweight division, level 3. This is where it gets really interesting and maybe a little weird.
Level 3 is emotional complexity and conversational self-talk.
We are moving beyond the physical world. We are entering the abstract realm of thought.
No more, I'm holding the pen. Now we're dealing with abstract thoughts, with conflicts, with future planning, with emotions. And the source uses a really relatable, slightly embarrassing example to introduce this. The shower argument.
Oh, the shower argument. We've all been there. You have a disagreement with your boss or a friend or maybe just a rude barista. You leave the situation, you're frustrated, and then 3 hours later, you're standing in the shower.
And you are replaying the entire scene in your head. But this time, you're winning. Oh, I'm crushing it. I'm a genius. I'm delivering the perfect, witty comebacks that I didn't think of in the moment. I'm eloquent. I'm sharp. I leave him speechless.
Exactly. Oh, I should have said this. And then if he had said that, I would have said, it's a simulation. A mental rehearsal.
The technique here isn't to stop doing that, because we're all going to do it anyway. It's to change the language of the simulation.
Right. Have the fake argument. Be petty. Be angry. Relive the injustice.
Yeah.
But do it entirely in English.
That ramps up the difficulty by like a factor of 10, because now you need nuance. You need tone. You need to express sarcasm or disappointment.
And you need advanced grammar, and you'll use it naturally without even thinking about it. Think about it. If you're arguing in your head, you're probably using conditionals.
Conditionals, the nightmare of every language learner. If, would, could, should have.
Exactly. If he hadn't been so rude, I wouldn't have snapped at him.
Yeah.
That is a complex grammatical structure.
Yeah.
That's the third conditional. But in a textbook, that sentence is so boring. If it had rained, I would have taken an umbrella. Who cares? It has no emotional weight.
It's completely dry. But
Right.
in the shower argument, it matters. You care. If he says that one more time tomorrow, I will quit. You are using the future conditional to defend your ego. You are using the grammar to express genuine, powerful emotion.
And that brings us to the science behind why this works so well. The source has a quote that I love. Emotion cements memory.
It's a biological fact. In our brains, we have the amygdala, which is the emotional processing center, and the hippocampus, which is the memory formation center. And they are neighbors. They are tightly connected by neural wiring.
So if the amygdala lights up because you're angry or happy, the hippocampus pays extra attention.
It does. When you are emotional, scared, angry, excited, your brain releases neurochemicals like adrenaline that basically tag that moment as important. It tells the memory center, hey, save this. This matters for our survival.
Which is why you remember your first kiss or a car accident so vividly. But you don't remember what you had for lunch 3 Tuesdays ago.
Exactly. Lunch was emotionally neutral. The accident was emotionally charged. So if you are just rote memorizing a list of words from an app, it's neutral, it's dry, it's hard for it to stick.
But if you are genuinely feeling frustration or anger or even excitement during these fake conversations in the shower,
Yes.
if I'm arguing with my imaginary boss and I'm actually feeling a little bit ticked off and I use the word unacceptable, this is completely unacceptable behavior.
Then that word unacceptable will stick like super glue. Your brain doesn't file it under you, it files it under weapons I used in that fight. It becomes part of your emotional arsenal.
That is profound. It's not just about communication, it's about feeling. If you can feel anger in English, you've crossed a major threshold.
That's the aha moment. If you can cry in English or laugh genuinely in English or rage in English, you are not translating anymore. You are living in the language. You've achieved emotional fluency.
And this conversational self-talk isn't just for arguments. The guide says to use it for planning, too.
Right, planning your weekend. Okay, if it rains on Saturday, I will go to the movies. But if it's sunny, I'll go to the park. Again, you're practicing conditionals in a low-stakes, meaningful way.
It acts as a flight simulator for conversation.
That's the perfect metaphor. You're practicing for the turbulence of a real, unpredictable conversation, but in the safety of your own mind. You can crash the plane in your shower and no one gets hurt.
So when the real conversation happens, when your boss actually does say that annoying thing again,
You've already run the simulation 50 times, you've already had the argument, you know the words. The neural pathway for that specific situation is paved and ready to go.
okay, so we've got the levels. Level 1, naming the world. Level 2, narrating your actions. Level 3, arguing with yourself and planning your future. It's a full system. But we need to talk about the tools we use to get there. Because the source material throws a bit of a curveball here regarding dictionaries.
Ah, yes, the dictionary dilemma. This is a classic trap that almost every single learner falls into, myself included for a long time.
Most learners treat the bilingual dictionary as their safety blanket. You know, Google Translate or the app where you type in gato and it spits out cat.
And look, for an absolute beginner, that's fine. You need a foothold. If you know 0 words, you need a translation to get started. But the source argues that if your goal is thinking in English, the bilingual dictionary eventually becomes an enemy of your progress.
An enemy. That's a strong word. Why is it an enemy?
Because it reinforces the translation trap we talked about at the very beginning. Every single time you use a bilingual dictionary, what are you doing? You are confirming to your brain that the meaning of a word lives in your native language.
You're telling your brain that cat is just a label for gato. The real true meaning is gato.
Exactly. You're maintaining the bridge between the two languages. You are keeping that translation superhighway open and well-maintained.
And we want to burn the bridge, or at least let it fall into disrepair.
We want to burn the bridge. The shift, the source says, is to start using monolingual dictionaries, English to English dictionaries.
Okay, so give us a practical example of how that changes the thought process.
Okay, let's say you come across the word huge, and let's pretend you don't know what it means. If you use a bilingual dictionary, you type it in, you find the word in your language, say grande or enorme, your brain goes, ah, okay, it equals that. It does a quick swap and then switches back to native mode, end of transaction.
Right. It's a clean swap. A equals B.
But if you use an English to English dictionary, like Merriam-Webster or the Oxford English Dictionary, the definition will be something like extremely large, enormous, or even simpler, very, very big.
So you're learning a synonym, basically.
We're learning a synonym, but look at what happened cognitively. You didn't leave the English language. You used the words very and big words you already knew to triangulate the meaning of the new word huge.
You stayed within the English ecosystem. You didn't have to leave the country, so to speak.
Exactly. You haven't left the room. You are defining English with more English. This forces your brain to build a web of meaning within the language, rather than a list of one-to-one translations connecting back to your native language.
It keeps the immersion unbroken. It's like if you're swimming. You don't want to get out of the pool every time you need to check your stroke on YouTube. You want to stay in the water and figure it out.
Perfect analogy. Staying in the water is the only way to get comfortable with the depth. And yes, it is harder at first. It's more work.
It's annoying. I've done this. Sometimes the definition uses words you don't know either.
That's the recursive loop. You look up a word and the definition has a word you don't know, so you look up that word and its definition has another word you don't know.
And suddenly you're 5 layers deep and you just wanted to know what spatula meant, and now you're questioning all your life choices.
It can be frustrating, but that struggle, that searching through the English web, that is the learning process. That is your brain building the map of the language. The easy way, the quick translation, doesn't build the map. It just gives you the destination coordinates.
Speaking of immersion and staying in the water, the final piece of this whole puzzle is the environment. You know, we can't all just pack up and move to New York or London tomorrow. So how do we create that pressure cooker environment at home?
Digital immersion, this is the big one. We live on our phones and our computers. We spend more time in the digital world than in the real world sometimes.
Sadly, yes.
So the source suggests a very simple, slightly terrifying first step. Change your phone's system language to English.
Oh, man. I've done this. I did this for Spanish once. It is panic-inducing at first.
Yeah.
You're trying to find the settings menu to change the screen brightness,
Yeah.
and you don't know the word for settings or display or brightness.
It is panic-inducing, and that is the point. The source also suggests changing your GPS or your navigation app to English.
Now that is high stakes. That's not just an inconvenience. If you miss a turn because you didn't understand, in 200 feet, make a slight right, you're going to be late for a meeting.
And that pressure is exactly what the brain needs to adapt. The brain is an efficiency machine, but it's also a survival machine. If there is no real consequence for not understanding something, you won't try that hard to learn it.
If I'm just watching Netflix with English audio and my native subtitles on, it's passive. It's safe. I can always just read the bottom of the screen.
It's totally safe. But if missing a word means you get lost on the highway in a part of town you don't know, your brain wakes up, it dumps a little bit of adrenaline into your system, it starts paying very close attention to the patterns. Okay, every time she says roundabout, we go in a circle. Got it. I'm not making that mistake again.
It creates a survival necessity, even if it's just a low-stakes digital survival.
Yes. It forces the brain to cope with information processing in English during daily necessary tasks. It stops being a study subject you do for an hour a day and starts being a tool for living your actual life.
You're using the language to solve real problems. Finding a location, changing a setting, ordering food, not just to pass a test.
And that's the final piece of the puzzle. You create the necessity, and the brain will rise to the occasion.
So we've gone from the micro, just naming a coffee cup when you wake up, to the macro navigating traffic in a foreign language and arguing with your boss in the shower. It's a really comprehensive journey.
It really is. And I think the beauty of this mindset shift guide is that it removes the mystery from fluency. Fluency isn't magic. It isn't some gene you're born with.
It's not about having a good ear for languages or being a musical person.
No, it's a series of trainable habits. It's neuromechanics. It's about understanding how your brain works and then giving it the right kind of exercise.
It's a workout plan.
It is. And the source mentions a timeline, actually, which I found really encouraging. They basically guarantee that if you apply these steps, level 1, level 2, and level 3, consistently for just 30 days, you will feel a noticeable, tangible difference.
30 days? That's doable. That's not a lifetime. That's a month of talking to yourself in the shower and pointing at furniture.
It's a small price to pay for the Holy Grail.
I love that. So, as we wrap up this deep dive, I really want to bring it back to the listener. We've given you the roadmap. We've laid out the 3 levels. The challenge now is to identify your own personal struggle points.
I think that's a crucial reflection. You need to ask yourself, when do I struggle most to think in English? Is it when I'm angry? Is it when I'm tired and my brain is foggy? Is it when I'm on the phone and I don't have visual cues?
Identifying the weak spot is the first step to fixing it. If you struggle when you're tired, maybe that's when you need to be extra diligent about your level 1 naming game.
Yeah.
If you struggle with expressing emotions, you need to hit the shower arguments hard.
Exactly. Lean into the discomfort. The discomfort is where the rewiring happens. If it feels easy, you're probably not growing.
I want to leave everyone with a final thought today. We talked a lot about the mechanics, the nouns, the verbs, the monolingual dictionary, but there's something deeper here, I think.
There is.
It's about identity. The source touches on this idea that fluency is really about changing the voice inside your head. We all have that narrator. It's who we are. It's how we explain the world to ourselves from moment to moment.
That's true. It's your internal interface with reality itself.
If you can change the language of that narrator, even just for a few minutes a day at first, you aren't just learning a skill. You're fundamentally changing your relationship with the world. You're literally seeing the world through a different lens.
And that is the true magic of language learning. It's not just about being able to order coffee in Paris. It's about gaining a second soul, in a way, a second way of being, a second perspective on everything.
And hey, if that requires you to be a little crazy and talk to yourself in the grocery store,
Then be a little crazy. It's worth it.
it is absolutely worth it. That's all we have for today's deep dive. We hope this helps you shatter that translation trap and finally start thinking directly in English.
Good luck with the training. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one.